So we have our loop. I'm gonna add the team purchase documents. Oh, copy. Click OK. And then now we've got 26 files in here. So we have two purchase contracts, a no named purchase contract and Magnus purchase contract. The Magnus is the one that has Magnus title in it.
Okay.
So Magnus title information is already in there. Oh, before we go in there, let's add our peoples. Forgot to add the peoples.
That always happens to me.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Like I go into the first document, I'm like, crap, I forgot the people. We're gonna make Charles the buyer. And we're going to add I'm just picking a random name, Renee Suter, as our seller. Since we are doing the purchase contract, we're on the buy side. We don't need the seller's contact information. It's really a placeholder so we can fill in our blanks.
Okay, it would just be the name and then just the role, pretty much.
Yeah, name and the role.
Okay.
So the buyer I put as Charles. We have all the admins already in there when you open up our loop. We have me, we're gonna make me the buyer's agent. So seller, buyer, you as the buyer's agent, and then we're going to can't think off the top of my head. I'm just gonna pull up an old MLS and pull an agent's name. We're not actually gonna send anything to this agent, but they're gonna be on the seller side. So
Oh, agent on the seller side.
right, we gotta get that agent as well. So
I should have given you my information, right? So it could be quicker.
so we're gonna do John here, or Jonathan,
Okay.
as a listing agent. There on when I purchased my personal home, this is my personal home. There was two agents, so you would put both agents in if there's a listing agent and a co-listing agent.
Okay.
But for time's sake, we're just gonna toss in Jonathan, and he is the listing agent. And of course, we would put in his email address, his company name, their company address, his license number, his ID number, his cell phone, all of that information for two reasons. One, it will auto-populate into the purchase contract at the end. And two, the transaction coordinator needs that contact information so they can reach out to the listing agent going, hey, I need the spuds and I need the clue report and I need this and that. They have all the information they need. Okay, so with
Okay.
the listing agent, with the other side, you want to put all the information in as much as possible that you know. So here in the MLS, you have their MLS number, their license numbers right underneath their name, the company office they are at, his email address, his primary phone number, his mobile phone number. For the company address, what I would do is I would literally copy his name and I would go up to the top here
Mm-hmm.
up to the top where the search button is. And then I would toss his name in there because you can search for agents, not just homes. And you see he pulls up here
Oh,
and you go to new tab and pulls up a whole new tab with just him on it.
oh,
It
I
gives a sec,
see.
it takes a second for it to come up. But then you have Jonathan, his all of his information, including his office address. That's where you would
Oh,
find the address on top of everything else you need for the purchase contract.
wow, pretty cool.
Yeah. I search agents all the time in MLS. It's hilarious. All right, so let's go back to Zoom. Nope. Dotloop. Dotloop. All right. We have all our we have the listing agent, we have the buyer's agent, we have our seller, we have our buyer. I think we have all of our roles that we need at the moment.
Do we
Um,
need Tina and transaction coordinator?
no. Tina,
Okay.
because she has team lead, she sees everything that you put in. So that would be the admin for TK Group.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
So she's already in there as admin TK Group. She's gonna see it
Oh,
that way. The TC is she probably goes in as Tina as well as admin for the TK Group. Um, you might want to touch base with her and she see if she wants to be added as a team member because she's struggling with getting documents sent to the team agents for signatures without you having to actually sign in and sign the documents. She's fighting with the
oh,
process. We've had a couple brainstorming sessions to come up with some workarounds. One of them was adding her, so we could add her, Judith
mm-hmm.
TC, and I was put her as other, her role as other,
Okay.
and then easy. What's her email address?
Easy transaction team, transactions.
Once you get her into dotloop, it'll auto populate. Like with Charles, it auto populated because he's my husband, he's been in there a few times.
Oh, okay.
That's why I chose him to auto populate. And I was already in there because it's my loop. But Judith, once I put her in here, I put it, should spell it right. Um, that way, and then so we're adding Judith as TC, even though she can go in as admin, but I'm gonna add her to my team
Mm-hmm.
so that she can go in from her side and send out signatures to me or to the client or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that Judith would be the only person, unless I was working, say, with you or with, say, Becky or Linda, then I would add them to my team because we're working
Okay.
together. You don't ever add to my team the other side, the listing agent or the seller, because they can go in and change the documents without your knowledge. Right. That's
Okay.
why we only use add to my team for TC and any team
And
members.
member. Okay, good to know.
Okay.
Oh my God, that would be very scary.
Yes, that would be very scary if somebody went in there. Mm, yes. I'll let her know what we're up to, that we're doing some training today to ignore this. But yes, we are gonna do Judith TC, her email, add to my team. She's gonna be other. All the information we really need for that, add the person. Okay.
Okay.
So again, I would talk to Judith and say, hey, do you want me to start doing that for you? Will that help you? You know,
I think that that would be great because she did mention last time, like I wasn't able to see what
right.
she was sending to the clients or anything. So
Mhm.
I think she was like trying to figure it out and did something on where. So I think it would be a good idea, but I'll definitely ask her.
Well, if she's going in as you and sending things, you're going to see it in the loop. So here on this column here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not shared, that means it hasn't been shared to anybody. It's not been filled out. There was nothing there. When they're waiting on a signature, say waiting on signatures,
Mm-hmm.
it also say submitted, which means it's been she submitted it to the brokers to be reviewed. One of the reasons everybody's using dotloop as a whole is because we submit our documentation to LTP brokerage in dotloop. They go into dotloop on their side and go, oh, here's documents to be reviewed, and they review them. So they're actually using this platform.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go into Magnus. And now that we have our peoples, since I've already went into this on accident, I will go up here to autofill and hit autofill, and then it'll pull up that pop-up window that it usually does, and I'll check all my info. So I'll check Charles is my buyer. I've got where's my seller? There's my seller number 1 for my name, my buyer's agent, my listing agent.
Mariah, quick question.
Yeah,
For example, I have my husband as buyer 1 as well
it's fine.
for this offer that I'm going to be submitting.
Uh-huh.
I would be buyer 2
Right.
and also listing buyer's agent, like
Yes.
my information.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then of course we've got the property address, and we have the buying agent, of course, is me. Financials we can add in here, our financials, so we can do the purchase price, the earnest money amount, and it'll autofill those. So let's say we're doing 800. And earnest money is $5,000. Just for kicks and giggles.
Mhm.
And then this pop-up's really more for verification and adding financials. So at this point, because you've added the listing agent, you would have already added their phone number and address and all that fun stuff. It would just be to verify that. Closing date we can add, because again, it will auto-populate. So we'll do April 30th. Buyer number 1 is Charles. Offer dates today. So an offer today. The seller is Renee. We can pull the legal description and put it here. However, it doesn't auto-populate. You have to manually add it anyway. So I never put in
Oh,
the
okay.
legal description here. You do have to pull it and put it in the contract, but it doesn't autofill.
Okay.
I don't know why. One of those things. And then we hit autofill. And it goes and does continue. And
Now, what if on the actual it states like seller to use seller's title company? We would still use the Magnus purchase contract, or
no, if it says use, if you're wanting to accommodate that, yes, save it. If you're wanting to accommodate that, you would use the other purchase contract from the templates. So no title named. There's no title company information in that purchase contract. So I would pull that one and put their title information in there. Does that make sense?
right, that's what okay. Yeah, because that's what they're stating on their actual comments, like per seller use such and such title company. It would be great if we can use Magnus though.
Yeah, that would be nice. But so yeah, I would use the blank one. So you notice here that the check marks are all blue. These are all blue here. They're all checked, they're all blue. And then down here, earlier when before I saved, it was all yellow. So Charles
It
was
auto
yellow,
populate.
Renee was yellow, the address was yellow, the full amount and earnest money was all yellow. That's that was the dotloops autofill. The blue is what was previous put in the templates. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Tina went into our templates and checked all the boxes and did a couple other things. And we went, okay, so this one's specifically for Charles and Renee, and dotloop autofilled the information in yellow. We can change any of it at any time. We can change his name or Renee's. or the blue stuff, we can unclick, click the boxes that are blue, so this was previously in there, wire or personal check. The close of escrow was the autofill that we did before. So we can change and manipulate the contract to our heart's content. Regardless if it was pre-filled in the templates or if it was auto-filled by dotloop. So on our first page here, we have buyer and seller address. We need to pull the assessor's number here. So we need to make sure to pull our assessor's number and our legal description.
For monsoon.
From monsoon, right. And then we need to finish filling out the financials. So let's say we have in cash and we just put the remainder amount and cash, order the down payment and amount and down payment, and then the loan amount, and then conventional or whatever loan it is.
Oh, okay.
So we have to finish filling out this portion here as well.
Okay.
So then we have, of course, we have how we're going to take, how we're going to input in earnest money. If it's going to be a wire or personal check, who's going to hold it? Always escrow company, always. Brokers do not, here in Arizona, don't hold earnest money. Then we have our close of escrow date, because we already put that into the autofill. Possession will take at close of escrow unless we specify. So right now the buyer is going to take possession at close of escrow. That's normal. We always use that. Addendums to incorporate. Again, this is something that we want to keep an eye on. So let's say it was built before 78, so we make sure that we have
lead base
paint. If there's an HOA, seller financing short sales you're not going to find often. Solar addendum you'll find on occasion.
the one that we're actually submitting an offer on, Maria, it's foreclosure. Is that short sale?
No.
Oh,
that's different.
okay.
So on-site water treatment plant facility would be a septic tank.
Okay.
Okay. Occasionally you'll come across the buyer contingency. Occasionally, not very often, unless you're like up in Cave Creek, you'll find a water well. So, but these are some of the addendums that you need to keep an eye on. You might want to do, in your case, other, but instead of adult community, I would put in addendum 1, and then in the addendum 1, I would specify that it is a foreclosure, just so it's clear.
Okay.
It may not be needed. You might want to talk to Judith, the TC, about that before you take the time to do it, but that's how I would make sure it was clear, would be addendum 1 in the other ones. And then the next thing that we're going to adjust if we need to is, does a washer dryer, fridge, washer, and dryer convey? And if they do, is it per MLS or is it another description? That can be hinky if we don't get that clear. After that, then we have the next page, we have the finances. So if it's conventional, cash, VA, what we're offering. If you're asking for seller concessions, like 1% towards closing costs or a certain dollar amount. Tina prefers a dollar amount because that's what the loan company will give versus a percentage. So that way we're not overdoing it. So that's something to talk to the loan officer if you need to on that.
Okay.
Appraisal cost is always done by the buyer. So it's checked via Tina, always done by the buyer. And on this page, we also have our title information. So in the other one, this portion is going to be blank, and you need to put in the title, the escrow company name. I put the escrow officer's name over here on the right-hand side because there's no place for her name or his name. So I'll do title company, bunch of spaces, their name, and then the address and the contact information.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how it's currently set up. After that, portion assessment fees. So most things that are previous put in here by Tina are what we standardly use. So the assessment fees for will be paid at closing, things like that, that we're not gonna mess with. Lead-based paint, here, you wanna make sure that either the information's already provided, that you literally emailed it to them, either along with the purchase contract or whatever, or the seller will provide it in 10 days. It depends if you get it beforehand or not. If it's not needed at all, you need to make sure that these are unassigned and these are assigned. So let me show you how that works. So Charles is currently assigned to initial here at this top left, and so I've selected it. Now I can select, okay, who's going to sign it? No one's going to sign it. Here it says buyer. If we had a second buyer, it would be already assigned, but we don't want anybody to sign it, so we're going to say no one. And then here it says buyer on the second line, left-hand side. We want to assign it to Charles. And because Charles is the only buyer, I want to make sure that nobody else has, the system knows that nobody else is going to be signing that. So I want to unassign that to no one, assign that to no one, so it's not, the system knows not to send it off. Expect signatures is what it's trying to do. It's going to expect a signature if it's assigned to a buyer. Just generically, it's going to expect a signature there. Like here, it expects a signature or an initial here because it says buyer.
Because it says buyer.
Now you don't have to adjust all of those, but I would make sure, especially with the lead-based paint, that is nice and clean. So.
And that's only if it's not needed, you said?
Yes. So if it's built past 78, then this is the line that we want everybody to initial. If it's before 78, we got to do this first line.
Oh, that's true. I see it there. Okay.
So, and that one tends to get missed. Lead-based paint's one of those that are notorious for being missed because of that date range. After that, buyer warranties, there's none. Again, that's a Tina fill. So if there's, buyers willing to warranty something, you always put it in there, but it is not usual. Very, very not usual. Inspection period, Tina leaves it at 10 days unless your buyer insists on either shortening or extending it. We always use the 10 days. It's already written in the contract. Sewer system is usually the city system, sewer system. With the addendum, if you're like, yes, there is on-site water system, this is where you need to check the septic. Those go in like lead-based paint with the addendum. You got to make sure the lead-based paint's correct. Sewer, if there's a sewer addendum, you got to make sure this is correct.
Okay.
And then all of our initials for the buyer about swimming pools and the sewer and the inspection period and all that fun stuff. So because it was auto-filled by dotloop, it's already in there assigned. We don't have to assign it. Price seller equal. This is just the how the Binzer works. There is nothing that we change because we want to keep our 5 days grace period going back and forth about these Binzer. The home warranty has kind of been a hit and miss that I've noticed. A lot of buyers are like, you know what, let's sweeten the pot and not have a home warranty. So if they decide to not order one, you have to uncheck all of this and then check here on 296, buyer declines the purchase of a home warranty plan. And then they have to, of course, initial, which is already there anyway. So,
okay.
But this is the standard plan that we get. It's, $575. The seller pays it, the buyer orders it, and the seller pays it at closing, so it comes out of their proceeds. It's not upfront. So
Okay.
most people keep it in, but occasionally you'll have the other way around. So all seller concessions can be used toward, but not limited to, closing costs, lender fees, and anything else approved by the lender. This is legalese put in by Tina, for obviously seller concessions. It sounds like seller concessions are becoming a regular thing if it's already in here. This is where you would put, in your case, buyer is also a real estate agent. So you need to disclose here on this page that information. And what was the other one? Oh, this is where also where you would put the escalation clause if you chose to use one. Going, the buyer has the right to offer $1,000 above highest purchase offer with proof of contract. So that's where this would go. But in your case, make sure that you state that you are an agent, a buyer, not just the buyer's agent, but the client and the agent. So the buyer is
Okay.
the agent. Okay.
Okay.
Because we have to disclose that.
Right.
Important. Very, very important. All right, so that's page 8. The next thing to adjust if we needed to was the terms of acceptance. So this terms of acceptance is, okay, seller, we want to know what you want to do if you accept or decline us by tomorrow at 5 p.m. or whatever, it is. Usually I do, if I'm submitting something today, I do 5 p.m. tomorrow. That, in case they're at work or whatever. Occasionally the listing agent will come back and say, hey, they're overseas, it's going to take a couple extra days, or there's 3 kids trying to sell this house, it's going to take me a few days to get everybody on board. And if that's the case and you miss the deadline, all you need to do is an addendum adjusting the deadline.
Okay.
Terms of acceptance will be on or buyer and seller agree that terms of acceptance are on 3 days from now at 6 o'clock or whatever. So
Okay, good to know.
yeah. So this is not like the end of the world if you miss it, but it's important to
A
give
new
them.
addendum would have to be
Yeah,
created.
addendum would have to be done to fix it, but it's not the end of the world.
Okay.
But you do want to give them enough time to decide, but not so much that they go into decision paralysis. Because if you give an analytical too much time, and you don't know if the buyer or the seller is an analytical or not, but if they are, and you give them 4 days, they're going to go out of their crazy little mind, So 24 hours is plenty.
Okay.
All right. So, because it was my loop and I did this, I'm in here at the top. And Tina, I know we're running out of time. Not. So if Zoom will do 40 minutes. If we kicked off, we'll just hop back in again.
Okay.
With the same link, it shouldn't be a problem. But so I'm on here. Tina's already in here because she put herself in here. She put the LPC information in here. Preferred phone number should be yours. Preferred email should be yours. And that you're the buyer's agent in this scenario. And then the buyer's information, of course, that's going to be you and your husband. And then make sure that you assign you and your husband places to sign as buyers in this scenario. The reason Tina is on all of our purchase contracts and listing documents is because if she's not legally bound or capable of negotiating on our behalf. She can't jump in and save the day legally.
Right.
She will, but legally she
won't. Yeah.
Right.
Everything needs to be in writing.
We want to be above board. You're hiring me and my team leader
Yes.
to do this. And the client usually knows, okay, if Tina's calling me, something's wrong, like really wrong. But having them on the contract gives her the opportunity and legal right to negotiate with the listing agent if things go sideways.
Perfect. Good to know.
Okay, so always have Tina on there, wherever you can.
Mhm.
But it's already auto-filled when you go in there. And then of course the seller's information. So their broker, so Jonathan is the listing agent. And then we have Renee, our seller, and where they can sign. Again, we don't have Renee's email address. It's just a placeholder at this point. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had put Jonathan's information, all of his information in here, it would have auto-populated this entire section without a problem. And then you'd be done. With this one specifically. So you just hit save. I wouldn't hit save and share because you have multiples to share at this point to get everything signed. So I would do one at a time. This one's all done. We're going to save it. We're going to go back to the loop. And then we're going to do the sales disclosure and the agency disclosure addendums if we need them, if it's in Sun City or Sun City West. Those are the community addendums stating that, yes, especially these two, if they're in Sun City and Sun City West. Yes, I understand that it's an adult community and we are under the Luke Air Force Base noise issues. So both of those are in those addendums. If in your case, it doesn't sound like you need them, so you would just hit the 3 buttons on the right-hand side and archive the document because you don't need them. So whatever you don't need, you can just archive. Okay.
Okay.
Then we have the buyer broker. Let's look at that one because it can be a little, if you haven't used it recently, it can be a little interesting to look at. So we have our autofill for Charles as the buyer, me as the buyer's agent, buyer agent, all that fun stuff. So as you see, we have yellow now. Again, that's the dot loop autofilling. If it were blue, it would have been Tina's. All right, so we have, because this was autofilled by Tina, we would do LPT Realty LLC, I believe is what it is. And then we would fill this out, all the info. So the terms of this contract are, I believe she does 6 months, usually.
Yes.
So from like today to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish to November. And then if it's for residential, yes. Agency relationship, we're gonna set forth the real estate agency disclosure and election form. That's gonna describe what things we're gonna do for them, that kind of stuff. If you were to do, like, say, help a person with a rental, you could do a retainer fee going, I will take $200 up front to show you as many rentals as you want in the next 5 days, or whatever it is. Okay. We don't usually use a retainer for purchasing and selling, but this is good for those renters. And then compensation. Here's where it kind of gets weird. The compensation should be 6%. You put the full so this is the commission amount. It's gonna be 6%. The buyer agrees to pay commission of within 90 calendar days. We usually have 90. I don't know if there's any additional terms that Tina might want in there. So they have updated this since the settlement has come out. This is a new document, or it feels very new. It came out. Oh, this one was only updated on October 22nd. So why? That is so weird.
So that would be the same for me and my husband. Like we would do pretty much that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So it was in the commission section, it was, okay, 6% total, and then to the cooperating brokers, that would have been, if you were the listing agent, it would be 6%, and then you would put, 2.5 or 3 or whatever to the buyer's agent. That's in the listing contract. Here it wouldn't be the full 6%, it would be 3% because you're just the buyer's agent.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Mhm.
Now, Tina advises us to put at least the 3%. Let's say you're helping a client and they are purchasing a new build, and the new build offers 4%. You can't collect the 4% because you, in this document, the buyer broker, you said, I will only take 3%. You can take
Oh.
less. Let's say, you're helping them and they're buying a regular home and it's 2.5 from the seller. You can take less, but you can't take more.
Mm. If it's not written there.
If it's not written there at 4%, you can't take more than the 3 that you put there.
Okay.
Okay, just something to remember. So that's, and if you're wanting to be paid on this one, that I would definitely do this. Then we save, and we back out to the loop. The marketing condition advisory, you've seen it before. It's just a signature at the bottom. The buyer advisory is just a signature at the bottom of the 12 pages saying yes, the buyer received it. Disclosure of the information on lead-based paint. So this is the lead-based paint addendum. Of course, it gives us our autofill it gives us the address, and then so because you're on the buy side on this one, you wouldn't fill out this, the seller fills out this portion, you would fill out this second portion. So the buyer acknowledges. So did you receive it in the 10 days? Yes or no? And all of these need to be initialed. And here's the interesting part on this one. And this is what gets missed all the time, even by Tina. Both the listing agent and the buyer broker, or the buyer's agent, has to initial and sign this document.
Oh.
Oftentimes these initials get missed.
I need to check right now. I have my other buyers who their home is built before 1978. And just double check that everything was done
Right.
correctly.
So
even
this
though Judith,
yeah,
we never know, right? We don't want to miss it.
Judith is pretty good and she usually catches it. But if, let's say your client is a wet sign only,